Hi from Chickenwood Studio Podcast. This is Lori coming to you from Chickenwood Manor in upstate New York. And this, I think, is my number 6 episode. So welcome to episode 6 on February 17th, 2016. I wanted to say thank you to all those who are returning and all new viewers. I have a bunch of subscribers on YouTube, which is really exciting. And so welcome to all of you, and thanks for clicking that button. And if you enjoyed our visits, I'm thrilled that you would like to come back and share some more. And over on Ravelry, where I am Piper Mom, I have a podcast group, a forum called Chickenwood Studio Podcast. And we're a small group so far, but we are having some conversations and have some new members from the past month who I'd like to just say hi to. There's Brina Nitz from Northern Illinois. Now I think I'm looking at the proper place. There's Weave Nut and Barbara Black Sheep from Wales. Barbara Black Sheep is Catherine, who I mentioned in previous podcasts. Benda from Cookeville, Tennessee. CC Knits from Australia. Pusscat from Poughkeepsie, which is just down the road a bit from here, and she's quite close to the famous Rhinebeck, New York State Sheep and Wool Festival. So have you been to the festival much, I'm wondering? And Disa from Sweden, whose podcast I really enjoy. And I'll say a little bit more about that later on. But hello to everybody over there and join in on our conversations. It's always interesting. I love it when people say hello and share what they're doing and what they're thinking about their creating, pardon me, and their fiber pursuits. So today I'm going to share some FOs and some whips, something about my knitting journal, some sewing, some things that are coming up on the horizon that I'd like to begin soon, perhaps some weaving talk, but perhaps a clip which I may add, or I may wait till another podcast for that. Talk about spinning and an upcoming event I'm looking forward to going to, and some lovely things that have turned up in the mail. And then a couple of shout outs to some other podcasters who I discovered recently and really enjoyed. So, but the first things first, I'm pouring my cuppa with you. Is the steam coming across on the camera? Listen to that. Oh, it's lovely. It's lemon ginger stash tea. And it's in my lovely, lovely Maine teacup. Somewhere on there, I think it says Maine. Yes, it does. Ta-da! And today's a good day for lemon ginger. Weather's been crazy here. 20 below the other morning, and then next afternoon in the 50s. Unbelievable. And then pouring down rain, which would have been a lovely blizzard had the cold temperatures returned sooner, or the warm temperatures never arrived, much to my chagrin. Oh well. I'm dipping my tea. We'll let that steep for a minute, and I think I'll start right in on FOs, starting with the one I'm wearing. This is my Ramona cardigan. I'll stand a little so you can see. There's cabling in the front, raglan sleeve. There's the same cable down the center of the back. And the coolest thing about it, I think, is that it scoops down in the back by use of some short rows in the very beginning after you first cast on and do short ribbing. It's designed by Ellen Mason of New Hampshire, and she is Odacier on Ravelry, Odaccier, which I think was her grandmother's name. She's a designer of patterns, a sewist, she's a fun blog, and she's always interesting to hear from. So I enjoyed teaching her class, and the pattern was written fantastically, must say. I enjoyed making the sweater, and then we had a class at my local yarn shop with 4 students. And it went over the holiday season, unfortunately, so they kind of got slowed down, but one of them is almost done, and I think the others are going to make it. In any event, if it takes till next winter, so what? They'll still have a lovely sweater to look forward to putting on next year. I used Lamb's Pride worsted in the fuchsia color, and size 9 and size 8 circular needles, 24-inch needles for 9 for the body and 8 for the trim or the borders. It was fun. I spent a lot of time last fall, concentrated knitting efforts to get this done in order to show it to the class. The next thing on my finished list, it's right here, my Dragonflies hat. This is a design by Joji Locatelli, Ravelry pattern. I first saw it, Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears podcast was wearing it, and I just loved the pattern on her, so I found it. See those dragonflies in the lace? And I used the hand spun I told you about before from Hilltop Cloud in the Hiraeth line of fiber braids. Beautiful blend. And the Traeth colorway. I'm probably not saying that correct. I've forgotten that one, but forgive me, my Welsh listeners. Can't wait to be there again. Okay, so there's that, and that's one that actually fit right the first time around, which is kind of rare. Not really a hat person, I don't believe, but this hat fits well and feels good on. Moving along, let's see, the next thing is the little gloves. The Naughty Gloves. The Naughty Gloves are designed by Julia Mueller, Ravelry pattern. Here they are. I'll put them upside down so the fingers aren't bending. Aren't they lovely? And this was the yarn I got in Rhinebeck that was about half alpaca, half wool. I think it came out, it's pretty good stitch definition. But it's a fairly fuzzy-ish yarn. The funny thing happened was that my second glove ended up being a little larger than my first. Same needles, same everything. I think I just was more relaxed second time through. So can't really do 2 gloves, at the same time like you can do socks, but I think in my next pair I'll just keep that in mind if I make another pair. And they fit nice. I was really afraid about making gloves. I thought the fingers would be all gappy and ugly, and you can see that was not hard at all, the way the design was made to just pick up and knit around the fingers, and hardly any gap fixing in the end. So I was pleased, happy that they are now an FO. And the other little thing I threw in between things came up on the kind of, a short project in between larger ones. A friend in my neighborhood, actually the girl who used to help us when my triplets were born, and she was about 13, she just had twins last month. So I wanted to visit her with some handmaids along with me, hand knits. So she has a boy and a girl, and these are the Pixie Hat, which is a Ravelry pattern. I added the pom-poms. It's a Ravelry pattern, I wrote it down, by Annalise Baez Vicarno, called Pixie Hat on Ravelry. So you can find that. It's a free Ravelry download. It doesn't have ties. It has this little button band. I don't have the buttons on yet. I got to take care of that before Friday when I go to visit them. Just an adorable little pattern. And I used Jelly Beans yarn by Plymouth. Here's the label from my local yarn shop, Trumpet Hill in Colony, New York. And the next FO is not available to show yet. It's in the sink, having its spa soak. It's my Vedbeck shawl, which I finished, I think, last night. Okay, hi. Yes, the Vedbeck is in the sink at the moment. So I'll tell you all about that next episode when it's been blocked and snuggled in by that time. Looking forward to that. Next project on the FO list was, we're done with them. Time for a sip. Perfect. On to the whips. The whips are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, about 4 different ones this time. And first I'll show you the socks. I call these my lighthouse socks because I started them when I was sitting in November, sitting by a lighthouse in Maine in a beach chair in my tank top. This year has been so crazy. So they're also in the colorway that reminds me so much of a beach that I used to always go to. Hello. Where my grandmother would have a place in the summer on the coast. And there was this little beach down from her beach where periwinkles, we could go beach combing and pick up sort of natural color periwinkles like that. And there were some orange periwinkles that lived there in the rockweed and would wash up in the stones and pebbles. And of course, this, if you squint your eyes a little, it almost looks like a landscape of the beach and the water, the rocks and the islands and the sky. And this just captures it all, this colorway. It's actually opal yarn, and it's the Van Gogh line, and it's Starry Night colorway, which is just great. And I did the sweet tomato heel on it. I think I mentioned it once before. I ended up doing 3 times, 3 wedges on here. I think I may have done one extra one on the second sock. So that when I have the socks heels done, I like to put them together and finish them on one needle. Here's the other one. 1, 2, well, whatever, I'll figure that out later. Excuse me. These have a, pardon me, knit 2 purl 1 top, and that's what the leg will be as well. And yeah, so finally have a pair of socks done for me. I finished 3 over Christmas time for my family, plus some slippers and some baby things, so that's going to be nice. I'm ready for a new pair, especially in those colors. Remind me of summer coming and going back to the ocean. Isn't it fun how all these items remind us so much of places where we've been, places where we bought the yarn, places where we spent time knitting on the yarn, and then hopefully places where we can go back to and wear those lovely things. The Duchess of Devonshire shawl is my one of my other on the needles, and I'm doing it in this yarn. The alpaca merino blend put out by Full Circle Farm, Music to My Hands. And this is the colorway. I never got to tell you the colorway. Baby's got her blue jeans on. Looks more gray in this camera, but it really is just about blending my blue jeans right now, matching. The shawl part is done, and I'm working on the lacy knit-on lace border. Oops, and it just started to fall off the needles. I've gotten this far on the lace border. I had gotten about this far when I realized that my DPN was a little bit larger than the needle that I knit the shawl on, which was a 4 millimeter. And I noticed that my KA bamboo needle, which I was doing the lace edging on, is 4.25, and I didn't know there was a discrepancy. My yarn shop owner was aware of that when I went to buy this new set. She said, oh yeah, that is the way of it. Oh, just drop stitches. I'll have to spend time with some quick knitting surgery later. But I was able to pick up some 4.0 millimeters at her shop, which are, I think they're Knitter's Pride Dreams. Very nice. Very, very nice. So that's just about done. It does require some concentration, yarn overs and knit 2 togethers and all, but it's not too wide. It's an enjoyable, simple-ish, lace is not simple, but I could do it while I was watching TV or something, or in a group of people listening to them, not while I was talking. Let's see, what else did I have? Okay, we're back. That kind of lost my... Hello again. I'm having some technical difficulties today. This will definitely be a piece together effort with iMovie. Anyway, moving on. My next work in progress is my Shackleton knit-along item with Sarah of Fibertrek TV's. Shackleton knit-along is a special project to honor and, focus on Ernest Shackleton's epic voyage to the South Pole. And so we are sort of coming along and joining in our own epic journeys and sharing with each other what's Hello, we're going to try again. Having some technical difficulties today, but we'll press on. Moving next topic is the my Shackleton knit-along project, which is my Gansey, made with Gansey wool from England with traditional Gansey wool. Let's see, came on this cone from Guernsey wool in Cornwall. I think it's 5-ply, traditional sort of sport weight, between sport fingering weight. It's called Gansey weight, I believe. And I'm using the needles and knitting belt that I got in Shetland last year. And I'll see if I can do you a little demo. Here's the belt. You wear it around your middle. Your right needle is in the belt, keeping it still and holding it for you so that your right hand is free to take care of the knitting. Maybe not so good that way. Maybe this way. So I'm on Purl 2. It's a very much pearls and knits textured pattern from the book. Let's see, where's my book? Guernseys, Jerseys, and Errands by Gladys Thompson, I believe. 1, 2. So actually, the Shetland knitters hold it much closer to the tip of their finger. At least the ones I observed when I was there. Everybody, might have to do it a little differently, but so close to the end so that all you have to do is simply flick the yarn over while your other hand, whoops, didn't do that right. While your other hand, your left hand, is taking care of moving those stitches to the right to have them ready at the end of the tip of the needle to be, knitted off. So maybe not the best photo. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm at a purl. I bring these over, bring the yarn front, do the purl, bring the yarn back, and I can just sort of swoop across the 6 knits till the next purl. So it's kind of neat. It takes some getting used to, and of course, if you've been doing it for a lifetime, there's nothing to it. But if you're just starting now, whoa, sorry about that. My little gorilla stand is getting a little wonky. If you've been doing it just for a little, it's going to take some practice. Ooh, and that's why it's my Shackleton project, because I want to do some practice. And I decided I'm going to try and do something like 15 minutes a day on it, as if I was practicing piano or practicing anything. And I think that's going to help me both get the job done, get the sweater made, and get the technique down so that I can do some other projects, maybe smaller ones, but after being used to it. When I got home from Shetland last year, I came home with the book. I don't know if this is in Knit Real Shetland. I can't locate the book at the moment, but I brought the yarn from Jamieson and Smith's and the book they put out that included this pattern for this tea cozy. And it's got, a gap on each side, one for the spout and one for the, I have to show you my teapot. So it's a little hat for a teapot, basically, a hat with 2 gaps. And I did use the needles and the belt for this. I love it. Little teapots. Such a great little keepsake from Shetland. I also made my daughter Kate Davies' Snawheat hat that way, and then I put the Gansey on the needles, and that's about the last I've done with that. But it's a good learning and growing experience, and worthy of the Shackleton-esque pursuit, I think. Other things on the needles. I think I'm going to move on. I have a couple things that, well, maybe not. I did mention, perhaps the last time, that I wanted to start these mittens by Kristen Paper with the Starcroft fiber mills as a knit-along that Janny is hosting. Here they are, Through the Loops pattern by Kristen, Kanagawa Mitts. So I ordered a tide pool kit from Janny at Starcroft, and it was 5 different colors of her tide. I have started it just barely, but it has this braid on it, the Latvian braid, which is another new thing for me. I ended up having to cast on all over again because the gauge was too loose. The mitten was going to be huge, so it caused me to have to do the braid twice, which is not a bad thing. I love all the colors. They're all the oceany colors. And Janny dyes so beautifully. There we go. Isn't that a lovely bouquet? The greens and navy, purple, blue, royal blue, and teal, and a little light blue. Cove. I don't remember the names. She has such good names for her yarns, but they are, the labels are not, I don't think they're in this baggie. And this is the baggie they're in. If anyone watches Thimble and Thread Make podcast, you might recognize this bag, done by Tracy. I found her podcast recently and super enjoy it. I just am so inspired by all of her sewing, and I love this fabric, and I wanted to just support her and have a little bag in this Sherwood, that she calls it, all the woodland creatures, Sherwood Forest, and she lives near there, so that's cool. So that's that on the needles, and that's it for on the needles. I thought I would talk a little tiny bit about sewing. I had an issue recently trying to sew a garment, trying to sew a top, a button-down shirt with long sleeves, V-neck. Simple for some. Not so simple for me, who hasn't sewn a garment in a long time, and whatever I used to sew, it was simple. So I had a problem trying to finish up a placket for button bands. At the point of the V, I had put on the bias strips. I learned how to make my own. That was exciting. And I sewed on the bias strips. And then when I had to make the placket at the top of the button bands, I couldn't get the instructions. And I made some cuts and I bashed it up. And then when I thought maybe I could patch a little bit because it was just for me and it wouldn't matter. It's a learning experience. Then my little snippers cut through the shirt like somewhere over here, which you couldn't do anything about. You couldn't put a pocket up on it's terrible. And I realized, I learned the hard way why people say to do a mock-up first. Not just for size fitting, but for all the little processes. So that really set me back. I was all psyched because I had a new machine. I was going to start making some clothes and make a spring dress perhaps, because I've enjoyed doing the bags that I've done lately. However, oh well, where's my new bag? I don't think I brought it over. Hang on one second. I'll show you my latest. Oh, it's right here. Good. My latest project bag from fabric I got up in Maine at Clementine this fall. Isn't that cute? I just love it. It's a box bottom. And this green is also the lining of the handle. I love that green lining. Brown zipper. I like to do zipper tabs too, which I learned from a YouTube video. It just has such a nice, neat finish. And I ordered some bags just in case some labels, in case I ever decided to sell them. I sewed a little too deeply, but it's practice. It's practice. I really enjoy making them. I don't know that I'm ready to sell them, but I'm thinking about maybe, I have an Etsy shop that I haven't really opened, but I might come to the point of putting some project bags and soap and maybe some stitch markers and things on there. If any of you have some encouragement to offer in that direction, I'm ready to hear. Send it along. I'm inspired by so many of you who are doing that, and it just looks like a lot of fun. And just what can you do with so many project bags if you want to keep making them? You can't use them all, and everybody might get sick of receiving them, and not all your friends and family are knitters. I think I've gone through my friends and family already with bags. Maybe there's a few more that could use some. Oh, I also did a purse, but that's not over here. I'll show you that another time, mayhaps. So that's the sewing, and on the horizon, I have some more fabrics I wanted to show you for some future bags. I might have shown you this before, but that's just a fun combination. And this one is for a big tote, springtime tote, maybe beach bag. Love this from Clementine. Look at these big, bold, juicy colors. So adorable. And the cool pillow ticking lining. That'll be a great one to carry around springtime to the beach or wherever. So I have to take a breather and say it's okay. Everything's a learning experience. Don't give up on the shirt. That's just the kind of person I've always been. I give up too soon. I try something, and if I don't get it right the first time, I feel like, oh, forget it, I'll never get it. But come on, I gotta get over that. It's a little late in the game to keep playing those games. So moving on, something about discouragement and that kind of thing. One of the members of our Ravelry group, Granny Sheep, Carrie, I think I might have commented on losing my mojo for something, and she had said she had experienced that this winter with her knitting. It just after the holidays and being busy and too tired, and she wasn't really sure why, but she just wasn't picking up her knitting in the past month. And that's how I felt really since, I don't know, sometime in the fall, or even almost a year ago. My spinning has slowed down so much, partly because I've picked up on knitting and doing a lot of other things, soap making, and so the wheels were getting dusty and the fiber was sitting in the bag, and I realized, wow, I have not done this. Should I sell my spinning wheels? I had too many anyway. I've sold a few, but do I really want to give up spinning? No. I do this stuff in spurts and seasons, and that's okay with me, really. But it does you feel like a stranger to one of your good friends when you've been away from them for so long. So I'm hoping that later this month, when I go up to Maine to a gathering of spinners and knitters with some good friends, that might spark some life into the spinning, the spinning mood, the spinning what's the word? Spinning, my spinning. Because I used to love spinning, and I do, but something has slowed me down. There's only so many hours in the day, right? You can't do everything all the time, and life gets in the way too, doesn't it? Yeah. So I'm looking forward to the trip anyway. Getting away for the weekend with my travel buddy, Amy of the Music to My Hands yarn. We go up to Freeport, Maine for a very informal gathering, as some of you probably know about it, Spa, Knit and Spin, for the weekend. And it's a lovely time. Speaking of lovely, I decided to call my acquisition segment Some Lovely Things. And I got a couple of lovely things in the mail. One was I had to order some yarn from Ellen Mason, who designed this sweater. She had taken her clip of wool to Canada, to McCausland Spinning Mill. And I've been there, oh man, I don't know, 15 years ago. How old were my kids? Probably that. And we visited the mill and got a tour and saw all the old equipment and stuff. And we bought a blanket there, just great. So Ellen got her run of yarn back from McCausland's and did some dyeing. And I could not resist this green. She calls it Monster. And this yarn, where'd my label go? It fell on the floor. Well, I have to go down and get it because it's cute. It's called Doc Mason's. I'm still recording, yes. Doc Mason's yarn. Doc Mason's wool. Doc Mason is a vet in her neighborhood, and her name is Mason too. This is Cheviot, Clune Forest, and Maritime wool, a blend. Very sheepy, worsted weight, going to make a great hat or pair of mittens. And that color, can you believe that color? That is the color. It's maybe a little brighter in the picture than in reality. It's like John Deere tractor green. I love it. It's just life-giving in this season of brown and gray and no snow to make it pretty. So that's that. And then Disa of Disa's Craftwork in Sweden, she does some dyeing with natural dyes. And I could not resist again, just grabbing purchasing a lovely skein of fingering weight from Disa in this beautiful logwood. It was plant dyed, I think Brazil wood and cochineal. Plant dyed Brazil wood and cochineal. Hand dyed by Disa. And let's see, what's the blend? 75% superwash, 25% nylon. So that could be a lovely shawlette, scarflet, or a pair of socks. I'm thinking the shawlette because it's just too sweet and beautiful to hide under a pair of jeans and in shoes. So thank you, Disa, for this lovely opportunity to purchase your skein all the way from Sweden. I'll let you know what it becomes when it becomes it. And the other one is not, I acquired it in the form of fleece. No, not fleece, but roving. At a wool festival, probably Rhinebeck, a Finn sheep farm had a booth, and they had this yarn. Well, no, they had the rovings in a bag of multicolor fluff. So I bought the roving and spun such that, as you can see, solid barber pole and brown. And this is really soft. I think this could be a neckwear. It could be a shawlette. It could be hat and mittens. I'm thinking, do I wear shawls that often? Maybe a scarf or a cowl, but it's a lot of yarn, so something bigger might be more appropriate. If you have any suggestions, let me know. What would you do with this yarn? It's worsted weight, and I don't know how many yards, but I'm guessing a couple 100 yards. So, yeah, if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. Where are we? We're really getting there now. That's the bottom of my list. I wanted to share one DVD that I'm in the process of watching now. You've heard of it, most likely. Addicted to Sheep. My son ordered it for me for Christmas. We're still in the process. Boy, having raised sheep, it's so good. It just shows you everything from the ups and the downs, the goods and the bads and the uglies and the adorables. And it's lambing season here in our area, and my friend Carol from Foster Sheep Farm keeps posting lambs on her Instagram, which are just melting my heart and making me miss them so much. Even just the way the light is now, about when I go outside toward the barn and think about what it was like and remember our little lammies in there and with their moms. And many a morning we'd wake up having checked them in the middle of the night, but not knowing they were imminent, and finding them in the morning, hearing them cry out before we get to the door. It's just a magical time in life. So I'm really thankful we had the opportunity to do it, and I really love, sort of reliving it vicariously through these people, through Carol and her lovely sheep farm up in Schuylerville, New York. So thanks for the memories, folks. It was real. It was great. Once you raise sheep, they're always going to be in your heart. Even where was I? Oh, my friend Amy and I, when I visited her, we went to Tractor Supply store, and we walked back around looking for some stuff, and we walked by something that smelled so familiar, and it was the sweet feed area where the bags and bags. And she used to raise alpacas, and we were both like, oh my gosh, oh, smell that. And all that smell would bring back to us in our memories with our kids and in our barns, and that whole life. It was cool. So, I'm glad I don't have to traipse out there in the middle of the night now to watch for the lambs, and kudos and hats off to Carol and all of you who are doing that now. I just, gotta hand it to you. I know it's such hard work. So, here's to all the farmers. And I think that I'm about done here today. Hey, one more thing before I close up shop. A work in progress is my Scrappy Socks Crochet Squares, Granny Squares blanket, which is really more like a scarf at the moment. And it could do as a scarf. It may end up. But my vision is to have it on the couch in our little tiny place up in Maine, and just, it's so snuggly. I'm using, let's see, what is it? Of course I can't think of the name. Cascade. The Cascade, it's not sock. Yeah, it's one of the Cascade sock yarns in the gray as the background. And all the many, many different sock yarns over the years that I've saved. So it's just a great fun. Disa's was the first one I saw, and I liked her idea of the gray background for her hubbies. So I tried a charcoal gray for my hubby. So, okay, that's it. Time to say goodbye for now, and I'm looking in the wrong place again. Catch up with you next time. happy knitting, happy spinning, safe travels, and stay warm, and look forward to next time and seeing what you're up to. Be in touch. Hop over onto the Ravelry group or send me a message. Love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye-bye.